G'day, I'm Fless. This video is designed to give riders some tips on how to win races at the Nundah Criterium circuit. Hamilton Wheelers conducts racing on this 1.2 km circuit about every second Saturday between October and April, and about once a month for the rest of the year. There are also 6 Wednesday evening twilight races over December and January. With a 400 metre finishing straight, Nundah is renowned for fast bunch sprint finishes, although sometimes groups of strong riders can get away from the bunch into a race-winning breakaway. I've been racing here since the track was built in 2003. At that time there was a real surge in cycle racing, and as I was the Brisbane City Council here at the time, I was able to secure funding for the construction of the circuit. As just an old sprinter with only one good sprint in me these days, I'll go through a few of my tips which might or might not suit you. At the end of the video we'll hear from other riders who have been successful at this circuit. Both sprint and endurance training is reasonably important for consistent results at Nundah. Of course, endurance training is much more important for road races, where a sustained aerobic effort is needed to climb hills. That's not so important at Nundah. If you have reasonable fitness, you can keep yourself in a competitive position by mainly hiding in the bunch out of the wind during the bulk of the race. You have to ride to your strengths. If you've got a good kick at the end of a race, you'll want to rest by keeping away from the very front until the last couple of laps. But if you're a strong rider, you might prefer to hang around the front looking for opportunities to break away from the bunch with a couple of other riders. I always hang around towards the back of the pack during most of the race. I often repeat one word over and over in my head: conserve, conserve, conserve. That means keeping out of the wind and trying to keep a steady pace without surging. Surges suck out valuable energy that you might need at the end of the race. Sometimes you have no choice. If the pack takes off, or if there's an effort to chase down a breakaway, you have to put in your own effort. I always take notice of the wind direction at the finishing line before a race. The riders interviewed at the end of this video will explain their tactics regarding the wind, but my general rule is to sprint early with a tailwind and sprint late with a headwind. It also helps to keep repositioning yourself on windy days to always protect yourself from strong cross or headwinds. You can win at Nundah with any reasonable road bike. You'll only use 4 or 5 gears throughout the whole race. Be careful not to use too big a gear during the final sprint. A 53-12 gear ratio is plenty high enough for a 60 km/h sprint finish. One thing to remember with winning sprints is that being able to rapidly accelerate off another rider's wheel makes it easier to reach a position on the winner's podium. As far as the bike's concerned, the physics is simple. Keep the rotating mass as light as possible to reduce inertia. That means light pedals, shoes, wheels and tyres, everything that rotates. Deep dish wheels that are very light and strong are okay. Unless you're an elite rider or want to be one, most riders are better off with just shallow rims and light tyres and tubes. Remember, deep dish wheels can make riding challenging when there are strong crosswinds. When the race commissaires call 2 laps to go in a race, I like to start moving forward in the pack. This is a critical time in the race. You don't want to be too close to the front or too far back. If the group is moving fast, it's easier to position yourself. But if the pack slows down, people will keep riding past you and it's difficult to stay just where you want. For me, about 10th wheel is okay on the second last lap. By the time the bell rings for the final lap, I will have picked the riders who I think have the best chance of winning and I'll try to stick with them all the way to the final corner. Knowing the strengths of your fellow competitors is a big advantage in Criterium races. Some riders have a long and sustained sprint and will take off as soon as they hit the finishing straight. With sprint finishes, it's extremely rare for the leading rider at the last corner to win the race. With a headwind, you can still win from about 10th wheel. With a tailwind, you really should be in the first 5 or so. Others like me will bide our time and hold another rider's wheel until about 100 metres to go near the small bridge across the drain. At 100 metres, it doesn't matter where you are positioned, it's just a drag race from there and you have to go as hard as you can. It's important not to let other riders dictate your race by forcing you into positions that don't suit you. Be courteous and non-aggressive to other riders. But remember, you're there to win. If you're there to only win friends, just buy people a coffee after the race. No two Criterium races are ever the same, so don't expect your race tactics to ever work perfectly. There will always be riders who are stronger, faster and smarter than you, and you never know when they're going to turn up in your race. So let's hear from some other riders who won at a recent race meeting at Nundah. We'll start with Pete Gumbley, who won the C1 race.
What's the best win you've ever had?
World Championships 2007, won the sprint gold.
Fantastic. So what was your race tactics today?
Really, it's sort of, I treat it as a training ride, these sort of events, because during the week at the moment we're preparing for nationals on the track, and so we're doing a lot of sprint training, so I'm missing a lot of interval work, so I treat these crits as interval training. So I go with the preems, go with the brakes, and try and win the finish.
So what's your normal tactics if you're in a crit race? Where do you like to be at different stages of the race?
I like to be in the top 10 all the race, the whole way through, just so you can, if you decide, go with a brake. But the trick is, there's a great saying in Criterium racing, which comes from the United States, where they do a lot of these things. They say that maximise minimum time on the front. And you don't want to be putting your nose in the wind at all, except in the last sort of 150 metres. So if you do go with the brake, you do have to do a bit of work, of course, but you don't. You've got to keep your legs fresh.
Okay, and you always take notice which way the wind's blowing at Criterium?
Every time. You've got to be. You cannot. You've got to really protect the lee side. So when you always make sure that the wind's coming on your outside shoulder, so you're on the inside of the track and the wind's coming across your shoulder or on your shoulder, so that anyone coming off your wheel has to go into the wind.
Okay, so in a sprint with a headwind, where do you like to be with about a kilometre to go?
A K to go, I'd like to be about half a dozen back, because people are going to try to break away, and in the wind some people will try that if they're an enduro type rider. So about 6 back, and then you really can't launch your sprint until even 100 metres out.
Okay, what about a tailwind? Where would you position yourself for a tailwind?
I like to be in the top 4 and stay there. And use that tailwind, and that way you can go early if you need to. You always go early in the tailwind.
Okay, thanks very much, Pete.
Here's Mark Kane, who won today's B2 race at Nundah.
Okay, where'd you come today in the B2 race?
I managed to win today, which I'm really excited about.
Okay, so what's the best win you've ever had?
You guys put on a great show over at Lakeside Raceway, and to be able to take on the younger, lighter fellas on some of those hills really is quite a lot of fun for me, I must say. I had one win there before, which has been good.
Okay, what was your race tactics today?
Today was about sitting in and not worrying about the preem, making sure that I had legs to go with a group that I hadn't seen before.
Okay, so do you normally have a plan before your race?
I do. I kind of I like to do if it's a 30-minute race, do the 10-10-10, what I call a 10-10-10. 10 minutes of a bit of show and tell, let everybody know that I'm there to play, and then 10 minutes of hiding, make everybody think that the fat fella's gone. And then 10 minutes of bubbling to the front just to see if we can have a go in the last lap. So
do you always take notice which way the wind's blowing here at Nundah?
Absolutely. It's vital, because the breakaways don't really happen when it comes through the trees. Obviously the tailwind on the finish is nice, but it's temporary. Any headwind up to straight, no one's getting away. Okay,
where do you like to be positioned in the last lap if you've got a headwind finish?
Headwind finish, I actually like it in front, because you just can't trust the wheel that's in front of you. He may give up before the bridge, and that'll leave you stranded.
Okay, and what about a tailwind finish? Where would you like to be at the start of a sprint in that?
Well, I haven't had one yet, and I've got 100 kilos on my side. It should be exciting. Today was 60k an hour. I know Dean got 70 on the weekend, on Wednesday. 65 would be fantastic.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.
Shannon Duggan is a well-known and very experienced sprinter at Nundah. Let's listen to his race tactics for this day's win in the B1 race.
What were your race tactics today?
Go hard from the start, go harder in the middle, and then go hardest at the end.
Okay, so where were you positioned in the last corner of the race?
Last corner I was second wheel.
And
break it through.
And do Normally right up the front at the last corner, or does it depend on other things?
It depends technically on what's going on. For the most part, I'll try and keep the pace pretty high and generally sprint reasonably long if I can. But today I'd actually bridged across to a break of 2, so didn't have a lot left, so I kept the sprint a lot shorter.
Okay, and do you normally are concerned about which direction the wind's blowing here?
Generally, it's usually a tailwind for the most part, but the wind really doesn't stress me too much when you come into a sprint. I'm big enough to just go through it anyway.
Sounds great. Okay, congratulations.
All right, thanks very much.
Good on you.
Here's Peter Oddsson, an A-grade racer, who prefers to get in breakaways to try and win at Nundah.
So you like to win here at Nundah in a breakaway, do you?
Yeah, well, you know, I know I'm not the fastest sprinter, but like on a good day when you're in good form, in the right conditions, yeah, you can get away at Nundah.
So what do you think about crosswinds? Do they make much of a difference if you're trying to break away?
Yeah, I mean, in some situations, like if you wait for the right moment and the winds are blowing the right way, crosswinds are a real advantage, simply because it makes it really, really hard for someone to sit on your wheel.
So when are the best times to try and break away here at Nundah?
I've said it before, it's definitely when the crosswinds. It's probably more of an advantage when it's a smaller field. Smaller fields are an advantage because there are fewer riders behind you, with fresh legs who are there to give chase.
And what about primes? Do they make much of a difference if you're trying to break away to win here at Nundah?
Yeah, I think primes are a bit of a moving rise. It's a good way to soften up the sprinters, and basically, if you want to make a break, just wait for the prime to come. Stay close to the front. Let people sprint it out. When they sit up, try and make a move. Accelerate up front while everyone's still gasping for breath. I don't really believe in rolling pace lines. Rolling pace lines really, if you ask me, they don't work in breakaways. Every rider has got to do at least maybe a 250, 300 metre turn. In
the A-grade races that you go in, occasionally there's breakaways and get caught. So is that a good time to make a move yourself? Yep.
Again, wait. If you bide your time, wait for the break to get caught. And if you're still fresh and you haven't been doing the chasing, that's a really good time to attack because everyone else will be.
Okay, so if you're in a break and you've got some riders who are not contributing any work, what do you do to try and take advantage of that?
Basically, if you get someone sitting in the break and you know they're a good sprinter, you really don't want to drag them to the line. So even if you do all the work and they sit in, they're just going to jump in and hit the line. So there's no point really pushing the brake. So just basically sit up, maybe have give them a dirty look and see if they pull through. And it's just a test of your wits basically.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pete.
Yep. Good work.
Well done, Sean.
Go Hamilton Wheelers.
Racing at Nundah is fast, furious and fun. We at Hamilton Wheelers hope to see you on the winners' podium at Nundah one day soon.